If you clicked on this video, there's a pretty high chance that you are a fan of anime. There's also a big chance that you became an anime fan around a young age, probably in your early teens, watching the classics or whatever was big at the time. And if you fit any of those descriptions, there's no doubt that the thought of living in one of those fantasy worlds has crossed your mind. Being able to explore such inexplicable and wondrous worlds, meet people with unfathomable ambitions, gain unearthly powers, and see the unimaginable. But what would really happen if your 14-year-old self was sit into a world of fantasy? Would you really be able to live out your dreams? We'll never know the true answer to those questions. However, I'm willing to say that there's one character in shonen anime that is the closest thing we'll get to an answer. That character is none other than Yusuke Urameshi from Yoshihiro Togashi's Yu Hakusho. And I'm also willing to say that he's one of the best main characters in shonen anime and is gravely underrated. For those that don't know, on December 3rd, 1990, Yu Hakusho was published on Shonen Jump, showcasing a story of a delinquent who fought, gambled, and skipped school. The usual. But while cutting class, Yusuke sees a child playing in the road, and contradictory to his character, Yusuke jumps in front of the kid to save him from oncoming traffic. And just like that, Yusuke dies. Ironically, Yusuke risking his life for a random child was so unforeseen that the spirit world had not planned for him to die like this. So by pure luck, Yusuke is given a second chance at life. But there's a catch. He must become a spirit detective. So the rest of the series follows Yusuke and some friends going on adventures related to his spirit detective work. And here, we see the unfolding of one of the greatest characters. From the short description you've been given about Yusuke, it may seem hard to see how such a stereotypical character can be so good, but that's exactly it. Yusuke is a stereotypical teenager, and that is his biggest strength as a character: relatability. A lot of times we see characters with such far-fetched motives and ambitions, and yes, they can be great, if not amazing, but there's automatically a barrier built between us and the character. But Yusuke is just like everyone else, for the most part. He hates school, he hates being controlled, he strives for the well-being of his friends, and seeks attention. Something most people can relate to. He didn't feel at home in his own world, so when Yusuke is forced to go on life-threatening missions, he finds a purpose. He feels alive. To really dive deep into his character, I like to point towards two arcs. The first being the Dark World Tournament. After a believed successful mission, Yusuke returns to a normal life, claiming he'll relax. Then he is abruptly awoken to a cruel reality. The man believed to be defeated was faking it, and demands Yusuke to not only become stronger, but to also compete in a tournament full of demons. With scenes like this back to back, we are made to believe that Yusuke cherishes his mundane life, but this is far from the truth. Yusuke loves putting himself in harm's way. He cannot find joy simply living in a world he does not fit in with. There's nothing there for him, no big goal to achieve, no caring parents, just some worried friends. So he trains and attends the tournament accordingly. And it's smooth sailing for the most part. He fights his heart out, engaging in thrilling duels with a smile, and engrossed in violence. He's in his element. Until it's time to fight the man who started all of this, Toguro. A man who has a very warrior-like mindset, wishing to face opponents at their strongest and even die by a strong warrior. Therefore, he wants Yusuke to be at his peak while he is defeated by him. Anything less would not be an honorable death. But there's one issue. Yusuke can't tap into such power so easily by himself. And what does Toguro do? He kills one of Yusuke's closest friends. Enraged, he can finally fight at his maximum power and defeats Toguro. But this sequence of events allows us as the audience to slowly start to understand Yusuke more. The ending of this arc shows that Yusuke fights for others, but that isn't exactly right. In fact, that complicates things further. What we truly learned was that Yusuke wishes to protect his friends, his family. But we can't exactly understand him yet, because Yusuke does not understand himself. Let's step back for a bit and look at some information we have gathered. Yusuke doesn't fit in with the world, and so he likes to fight and get in dangerous situations. But when his friends get involved, he becomes more meaningful in his battles. If we look further into those first 2 points, it's clear to see that Yusuke has no purpose in his life. So while he fights for the sake of not fitting in anywhere else, it's more so because it's a distraction. It's like a game to him. It's fun. It is pleasure. A quote I like to often tell myself from time to time when I'm lying around not doing anything productive is, when a man can't find a deep sense of meaning, they distract themselves with pleasure. And that is exactly what Yusuke is doing. As a teenager, he can't help but feel lost in the world. Being a spirit detective gave him purpose, but is also directly linked to his pleasure, which as we saw does not blend together well, leaving him with no deeper purpose. To him, outside of his work, lies nothing but the life of a bum. The story continues with Yusuke still being confused and chasing after that high that fighting gives him, and eventually he gets himself in a big situation. After traveling to the demon world to face his ancestor, he ends up inheriting his kingdom after he passes. With him gone, the tension between the kingdoms is intoxicating, but as the shonen character he is, he supposes a friendly tournament to decide the ruler of the demon world. And of course, he participates. Yet, when he comes face to face with his rival, he begins to struggle. His rival is stronger but deliberately lowers his energy to have fun with Yusuke. This will lead to his failure in the future, but against Yusuke, he destroys him, because Yusuke lost his will to fight.
It just hit me. I don't know what I'm fighting for anymore.
What?
The fun begins to run out, and it didn't give him purpose. And he wasn't upset with the world that refuses to accept him, because somewhere out there, he was accepted. His friends that he brought together as a family, they accept him. It may seem like a sappy ending, but it's a good one. He was running around chasing distractions when what was really important was right in his face. But like the child he is, it took him a long time to realize that. And though it may seem like he doesn't have much purpose even after the fact, with his family, he's achieving something everyone searches and strives for. The true purpose of life. Happiness. Even after all that explained, you may not be convinced that he's the best, and that's fine. But let me elaborate some more and go back to the topic of relatability. It's one thing to just like a character. Anyone can like anything, but not everyone can experience the same things as you do. So when that connection is built, it feels far better than just liking something. And that's how I feel about Yusuke. Feeling lost and angry at the world while also being confused with yourself and the ones around you is something I don't just like. I've lived it. Having high points in your life feel like distractions, while the low points fill you with unbearable boredom and depression. Starving for something more in your life. All things I found relatable at once. And seeing someone go through the same struggles as I did felt special. Not only this, he was just a cool ass character. He throwed hands with anyone if need be, and he was one of the only characters able to back up his trash talking. I really have to give Tagashi props for such a well written character. It seems like Tagashi honestly just wrote about his past self in a magical world, because there are some things you can't fabricate well if you haven't lived out for yourself. After finishing the series, I think it's safe to say that not much would really change if you were transported to such a mythical place. The distractions in your life would just become bigger and grander, and the mundane reality would feel suffocating, until you realize that there is something special in that regular life you left behind. I'm very surprised that many people disregard Yusuke when it comes time to talk about great MCs, especially in shonen. In fact, I don't see much Yu Hakusho praise at all. Such a well-made depiction of a 14-year-old with a bad life, alongside an interesting story with a good supporting cast. But it's understandable why, especially when Tagashi has made another great story. It was definitely a stepping stone for Tagashi's career and has for sure inspired Hunter x Hunter to some degree. But it is still a fantastic piece on its own. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you've seen Yu Hakusho, let me know who your favorite character is in the comments. Peace.